So far we've talked about, we are going back on the summary of the Gita chapters. So we talked about chapter 1, which was about readiness, right? Then chapter 2 was, the chapter 2 is about Gyan and Karam Yoga. We talked about Gyan then in one session, and then one session we combined what is in Karam Yoga of chapter 2 and the Karam Yoga of chapter 3, and that was last time we talked about Karam Yoga. And now we go to chapter 4, and chapter 4 is called Gyan Karam Sannyas. So in some ways, this is, Gyan Karam Sannyas Yoga. So in some ways, I think this is kind of the heart of Gita's message. So, Krishna Bhagavan started in chapter 2 with the actual discourse of the Gita from the 11th mantra. And he started by saying, that there is no reason for you to be, or anybody to be sorrowful. The sorrow hai, it's created by us. It's created by the ego. Our basic nature is happiness. So basically, if we were just totally, jaise kehte hain na, innocent, living in this world, or like without anything that we've superimposed on our own self, without this ego things that we have built up, we'd just be happy.
But Nitu, can I just ask, when they say basic nature, do they mean basic nature of the person that we consider ourselves to be, or basic nature of Atma? Is Krishna Bhagavan talking about
It doesn't
Atma
matter.
also?
The basic nature of Atma or the basic nature of the person you consider yourself to be, everything is happiness. The basic nature is only one. So you can't say that there is...
You're saying this just brought me the vision of my little grandson who's 1 year old, and his smiles and the way he laughs innocently. I mean, that basic nature of happiness that shows.
Actually, that is very true. Because if he doesn't have thoda sa agar usko पेट दर्द होता है रो पड़ता है. Okay, but he's not miserable or unhappy.
Yeah,
he's in pain, so he's crying.
Most of the time happy. Yeah.
And then the pain goes away. Then he starts smiling. There's no underlying depression.
Yes.
There's no underlying
anxiety,
right? So that is actually a reflection. I mean, that is what I also had in my mind when I was saying that is what basic nature is. And actually, there is no reason why we can't become just like that again. Because what we've done is, from that age to now, we've added up all kinds of stuff on ourselves. We've created, aise hona chahiye, aise nahi hona chahiye, this person should like me, that person should not. All those things have been sort of added up. And that is what creates...
Very circumstantial, right? सारी जगह तो ऐसे नहीं होएगा basic nature. जहाँ पे कोई बड़ी ज़्यादा poverty होएगी, जहाँ पे किसी को खाना वाना नहीं मिलेगा, उनका basic nature ऐसे होएगा.
बिल्कुल, खाना नहीं मिलेगा
तो वहाँ पे भी किलकारियाँ मार के हंसता होगा. जो 6 महीने का या 1 साल का बच्चा है, वो तो ऐसे ही हंसता होगा जैसे हमारे घर में बच्चे हंसते हैं.
So it's not even so much happiness. It's not even कि वो हंसता ही रहेगा सारा time. It's contentment, feeling of fulfillment. Wow, yes, Sanjay. Good.
Sanjay.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello,
Sorry,
Sanjay.
got late.
Hi,
Yeah.
Sanjay.
Got stuck. Hello. Hi.
तो संजय कहाँ फंसा तू? जनरल स्टोर?
अरे यार ट्रैफिक में बहुत ट्रैफिक आया ना.
I know. Mukta was telling us about it. Yeah.
हाँ, ये हमारा यार ये वो मोती नगर का फ्लाईओवर बन रहा है ना, उसके इशू में ना ये बहुत ट्रैफिक कई बार वो हो जाता है. Almost took me 50 minutes coming from Moti Nagar. It's hardly 5-7 minutes drive.
तो तू तो
चलो continue.
No, we're just about getting started.
Yeah.
I was telling them that today we were thinking about I was thinking of talking about the 4th chapter of Gita, just an overview. We are summarizing, right? And with every chapter, we are talking about one concept of the Gita every time. Just to review. Tonight's concept is Gyan Karam Sannyas. That is the topic of chapter 4. And I was telling them, in my view, it's kind of the heart of the Gita. It's very, from a Gyan perspective. It's the heart of the Gita. So Gyan Karam Sannyas means someone who does the karam with full knowledge. And doing the karam with full knowledge is the same as sannyas. You don't have to stop doing karam to be a sannyasi. You can do your karam, live in this world, do everything, be very, very active. But if you do that with knowledge, with awareness, जैसे last time हम कर रहे थे ना?
Awareness is the key actually.
Yes, if you can do it like that, then you're a sannyasi. That is what sannyas means. That is Gita's real message, which is do your work, do everything, but do it as a person who has knowledge, who knows कि actual doer कौन है और कौन नहीं है. That is called Gyan Karam Sannyas. So to reach there are different stages. So we were talking about what was the first chapter mein, when we talked about the overview of first chapter, we talked about readiness. And then we talked about Gyan, then we talked about Karam Yoga, and now we are talking about Gyan Karam Sannyas. And then I was also saying that in Gita, the way this is built up is in almost the first thing itself. Krishna Bhagwan tells Arjun in chapter 2, verse 11, he says there is no reason for sorrow. Sorrow has been built up by you, yourself. Your basic nature is happiness. And the person who knows this is a Pandita, is the person who actually knows. And he said, you don't, usko bata raha tha, usko thoda, he was admonishing him, saying that you're talking these big things about dharma and this and that, but you are full of sorrow. So tu kahan se, what do you really know? That he was kind of trying to, prod him a little bit. And then from there, he went on to say that, he described a little bit about how the Atma never dies. And he was trying to explain why there is no reason for sorrow, because the Atma is unaffected. It's asanga. And it doesn't die. And it's pure and clean and all of that stuff. And the Anatma can never be still. It always changes. It's always changing. And so on. And that was the Gyan part that he talked about. And then he went on to Karam Yoga, because then Arjun asked him also, he said, should I just become a sannyasi then? Because if Gyan is the thing. And then he said, no, stay, do your job. And he described Karam Yoga, which is do your job with Ishwar Arpan Buddhi and Ishwar Prasad Buddhi and so on. And then he went on to start talking about Gyan Karam Sannyas. So what I want to do is to cover this topic today, Gyan Karam Sannyas, or any other questions that you have, that's fine too. But I want to follow our pattern of each of you just kind of describing what you think is meant by Gyan Karam Sannyas. And this is a difficult one, because I know this is a very difficult concept. So I think it's just okay. It doesn't matter, but I still want to kind of get you guys talking a little bit about it. Okay. And then there's going to be a little bit more of a lecture today than the usual. We'll go through some Gita shloks and all that. Okay. Okay, Mukta. So last time you were the last one. So today you can talk to us. What is your sense? What could it mean?
Is it, I cannot actually straight away suddenly
Koi baat nahi. Yeah,
say
I understand. Yeah.
जो मैंने पिछली बार जैसे बोला था कि जो हम करते हैं, जो भी हम कर रहे हैं, वो कर्म है, जो जिसको कर्मा साइकिल या जो बोलते हैं कि if you are doing good begets good and bad begets पाप and पुण्य, whatever.
Yes.
And जिसको कर्म योग बोलते हैं, first of all I wanted to, क्योंकि I was in the end and उसके बाद ज्यादा बात नहीं हुई, जो मैंने बोला, have I understood it correctly? First of all,
what कर्म
do you
योग?
agree with what I am saying कि कर्म योग वो है जो भी हम काम कर रहे हैं, if it is dedicated to the divine and that जो ईश्वर अर्पण and prasad,
yes.
whatever the results are
absolutely
taken as whatever.
Yeah, without judgment. Without judgment, you accept
judgment.
what comes. Yes.
I mean,
that is Karam Yoga. Exactly.
that's Karam Yoga.
Yes, yeah.
But normally हम बिना सोचे बिना कुछ ऐसे without any giving any thought to it, whatever we do is karam,
Is
normal
karam.
karma,
Yes, normal karam,
which
exactly.
goes into the karma cycle.
Correct,
Right.
exactly. It will bring you results. It will bring you bondage. So just to interrupt you, maybe I'll explain this. That may help. So you think of the Gita, jo hai na, it has its every shastra has its own unique sort of window or perspective for looking at all this. Gita has its own unique style and perspective, and that is all about karam. Gita is all about karam. So it looks at bondage from the point of view of karam, and it looks at liberation or gyan or jnani also from the point of view of karam. Right? So if you see, Gita is full of karam. That's why it emphasizes karam yoga so much. So from Gita's karam yoga perspective, think of three categories or three things. एक तो है a person who's a samsari, जिसको कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, ना उसको पता है मोक्ष वगैरह के बारे में, ना उसको कोई इंटरेस्ट है ज्ञान में, वो अपनी जिंदगी जीना चाहता है. He wants to, take care of his family or her family and his or her children, all that, just normal life. So that's a samsari who lives in the samsar, who considers the samsar is the end all. कि संसार से ही मुझे सुख मिलेगा, संसार से ही मुझे दुख मिलेगा. Right? So that is one. Then the next level of person is what's called a karam yogi, who is sick and tired of sansar, who says मैं थोड़ा disappointed हो गया हूँ संसार से. मैंने सब कुछ कर लिया, मुझे यहाँ पे satisfaction नहीं मिल रही है. I think there's something more and I want something more. So that's karam yogi. Not yet a jnani, but a mumukshu, someone who wants to get jnana. That's a second level, which is called a karam yogi. Now, Gita calls him a karam yogi. Other Upanishads may not use that term, may call him a mumukshu, may say so many different things, but it's the same stage where a person is aware now that there is something more and I want to reach that more. And the third stage is jnani. And a jnani is a person who knows. So most people will call him a jnani. Jnani means someone who has jnana, knowledge, right? Gita calls that person many different things. In chapter 4, Gita calls that person a Gyan Karam Sannyasi. So a Gyan Karam Sannyasi is a person. So Gita ka karam to jana hi hai, it has to put a karam everywhere, somewhere. So it's a Gyan Karam Sannyasi. A person who does karam with Gyan is a Gyan Karam Sannyasi. So these are the three levels from a Gita perspective. When it talks about the samsari, what Gita says is अच्छे कर्म करो, स्वधर्म करो, जो तुम्हारा धर्म है वो करो, क्योंकि उसको पता है कर्म इसने करने हैं. He is not or she is not saying and not ready for you are not ego, you are Ishwar or you are Brahman. All this is going to go past that person and is not interested. The person is interested in results. So they are saying, okay, do good karmas so that your results are good, your life is good. Do your swadharma. For this person, karam is bondage. Karam is bondage means they describe also why. So what the mechanism of life is that a person does some work thinking he is the doer. Based on that work, that person is supposed to get some results. Some of the results you get right now in this life, some results are put in your sanchita karmas. Right? You remember sanchita karmas and prarabdha karmas, right? So the things which are put in your sanchita karmas now have to fructify. You can't just do a karma and say there'll be no result. So that result has to come. So whether it's a good result or bad result, it has to come. So for that result to come, what does result coming means? It means you have to have an experience. Everything in life is karta bhokta. You are a doer, you're an experiencer. You're a doer, you're an experiencer. All results just means is experience. If you have to get an experience of happiness, from a particular result, it doesn't really matter whether you're in America in a rich palace getting happiness, or you're in Africa in a tribe, the head of the tribe getting happiness, or whether you are getting happiness, as a little kid somewhere or wherever, or you're in some other loka getting happiness. The point is you have to get the experience of happiness. So it's the experience that counts. What result, what bhokta, what you have to bhog, right? That is the bhokta. So a karta is also a bhokta. If you think you are the doer, you're also the experiencer. And you have to experience the impact or the results of what you've done. So in order to experience all the things which are in your sanchita karma, you have to take another life somewhere. And based on the experiences you're supposed to get, you will get the suitable body for it. So that's why they say karma is bondage. Because why? Because the reason that you're taking another life and going through all this is because you're supposed to experience. The reason you have to experience is because you have done. That's why you have to experience the results of what you've done. अगर तुम कर्म नहीं करोगे तो तुम कुछ experience भी नहीं, तुम्हारा संचिता कर्मा भी नहीं बढ़ेगा. Then you want to do experience, then you want to come to the world, you're free. Yeah, this is a silly thinking, but you can think about it like that. So karam is bondage. However, you can't not do karam. That is impossible. The world has to go on. Even if you say I'm not doing karam, you're doing karam. You're like sitting still, not breathing. Even that is a karam, right? आंखें झपक रहे हो वो भी कर्म है. तुम कुछ भी करो, you have to do karam. The karam is a part and parcel of life. So how do you get over this cycle where every time you do a karam, there will be a result, and every time there is a result, which is in your kitty, your sanchita karma, there has to be an experience. And to get an experience, you have to have a body and a life. A loka. They call it a loka. A loka actually means two things. A loka can mean the world. There are many different kinds of worlds. Or loka actually means experience. It can mean experience also. It's the same thing. So the world is nothing but a field of experience. That's why it's called a loka. It's a field of experience where it's a way for you to get the experience that you need to get based on the karmas that you've done. Right? So that's the cycle. And the only way to get rid of this cycle, which is, assuming that you want to get rid of it, is through knowledge. And I'll show you the sloka in Gita in chapter 4, which talks about it's like a burnt seed. That's what Gita calls it. It says, when you have a seed, if you sow a seed, usse plant niklega. The only way is you burn the seed. When you burn the seed, then that seed, if you sow, it will not germinate any new plants. So if you do karma, you will get a result. But if you burn the karma through your knowledge, dig the karma, then it will not give results. So to burn the karma, the only way is knowledge. And that knowledge that's why it's a Gyan Karam Sannyasi.
It is a Gyan Karam Sannyasi, a mumukshu or a Gyani?
Gyani. He's a sannyasi.
Yeah.
Also in the chapter called Tattvadarshi.
जो कर्म योग है और कर्मा नॉर्मल कर्मा है, उसमें भी ये अप्लाई होता है, कर्म योग जो कर रहे हैं.
So that I was continuing there. So the पहला वाला is कर्म, right? नीचे सबसे lowest category you can say is a samsari, वो कर्म करता है. And samsari when कर्म करता है, उसके लिए कर्म is a bondage. He has to come back again in this world. Yeah. All that cycle exists. Now this person says after some time, after having all these experiences, parikshaye lokan karam chittan, having done all that, the guy says, okay, now I've had enough experience of this karam chittan lokan, the lokan, which is the world which has been made out of karam chittan, which is generated by karma. I've had a lot of experience with this. Now I want something else. So he's got nirvedan. He's got some objectivity. Yeah, parikshaye lokan karam chittan, brahmana nirvedan ayat. So he gets nirvedan. So for that now he he's not thinking, okay, no, there's something more. He is ready to be a Karam Yogi now. Because what he will now do is, okay, I'll find someone to give me knowledge. And he'll start getting knowledge. And at the same time, that person will also tell him, his guru or whoever, the teaching will tell him or her that as you're getting knowledge, which is one thing, you also have to start changing your behavior with a little bit of will. With a little bit of will. So last time we talked about it, right? Intention and will. Intention comes from knowledge, saying, I really want to purify myself, but I know I have to work. I can't do without work. Work is always there. But I'm beginning to do now work with, by giving my work to Ishwar, by accepting all the results. I'm trying to continue with my nirvedan, with my objectivity as I do this work. But yes, I will do this work. So there's a little bit of forced thing here. The person is still thinking that he is an individual. He wants to get knowledge. And somewhere in his mind, he knows now, oh, there is Brahman and I'm Brahman. But that thought has not yet matured in the mind. It has not really taken root. But somewhere deep down, he knows because he's been told. But it's not, the conviction is not there. So he's continuing through the cycle of Shravana, Mananam, Nididhyasana. This is a cycle of teaching. Listen, reflect, Nididhyasana, contemplate. So you do these three. So he's doing that, but at the same time, he's been told, do Karam Yoga. So for what is Karam Yoga for Arjun is, Krishna is telling him, your Karam Yoga is, you are your dharma. You are a fighter. You fight for dharma. Go fight. Right? Fight for me. Fight and give the results so that fight to me. Don't fight because you're going to win or you're going to lose. Fight because it's the right thing to do. So whatever you're doing, fighting, do it for me. And whatever results I give you, victory or loss, take it as prasad from me. But do your thing, fight. Right? That's what he was telling him. So I think be a Karam Yogi. At the same time, he was also giving him Gyan. He was also telling him, you are not really a body. You are Atma. All these people, they are not going to die. They are still there. They will always, what will die is their body. Then he showed him his own body, self. He said, this is my true self. You can see I'm killing everybody and I'm generating everybody new. I'm everywhere. His Vishwarupa Darshan. So he did all that to him. It's all Gyan he was giving him. He was telling him, there is this Shukla Gati and there is this Krishna Gati. What happens to you after life? All these things after death, he says all that. That's all Gyan. He's giving him the Gyan, but he's also telling him, do Karam Yoga. So that's the Mumukshu. But what is a Gyan Karam Sannyasi is someone who doesn't need to, who is a Karam Yogi, but not a Karam Yogi by power of will. He's a spontaneous Karam Yogi. He knows. There's nothing, you don't have to think about it. कि मेरे को ये कर्म करा है, इसलिए मैंने कर्म करा है कि मुझे फल मिले. He's not interested in that phal. He's already got the phal of knowledge. He's already got the phal of liberation. He's just doing karam, and then, actually, I think in the Gita they asked also, I think Krishna Bhagavan asked, why is the sannyasi even working? Like, what is his motivation? His motivation, then they said, is loka samhara, the hit of the people, for the benefit of people, he's doing it. But that's, I don't buy that. That's just to kind of give an answer to a question. But that's a Gyan Karam Sannyasi, someone who knows, and he's just doing his thing. So, how do you know a Gyan Karam Sannyasi is there or not? Gyan Karam Sannyasi will do exactly the same thing that you and I and everybody else is doing. They are living their life, having fun. But back to chapter 2, verse 11, they have knowledge. They don't have sorrow. Right? They don't have sorrow because they know that nothing, ये सब चल रहा है कुछ, it's fine. I have to do my prarabdha karma, so I'm going to live out my prarabdha karma. And, that's fine. Good. So कुछ देखने में पता नहीं चलेगा कि ये सन्यासी है या नहीं है, या ये ज्ञानी है कि नहीं है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. It's just in their own mind, in their own self, or in your own self. And you all are Gyanis now, actually, literally. You can say, I'm not a Gyani, I have more to learn, in the future I will do all that. That's just an obstruction in your mind. That is the last obstacle you have to get over. Which is this, your own mind telling you you're not a Gyani. And Swami Paramanathan used to say this, I remember ek baar maine unka suna tha. He said, basically, it's all between you and yourself. Whether you're a Gyani or not. Nobody else is interested. Nobody else cares. Nobody else even knows. It's all between you and yourself. You tell yourself you're not a Gyani, you won't be a Gyani. You tell yourself you're a Gyani, you are a Gyani. That's the real obstruction.
Actually,
Your
I was
nature
going
is
to
what it
ask
is.
you.
Huh?
I was going to ask you, define Gyani.
Gyani is a person who's in touch with his real nature, who doesn't, who's not bothered by who understands the ego, who understands the play of the ego, and how the ego is leading him astray or her astray. That's a Gyani.
But,
Who understands?
so I thought we are like technically mumukshus and not Gyanis, right?
It's
Because
up to you. Technically, क्या मतलब हुआ?
technically का मतलब कि जो भी मैंने सुना है, that
हाँ.
is कि you can intellectually understand कि अच्छा मैं ego नहीं हूँ, मैं आत्मा हूँ, लेकिन how imbibed that knowledge is for someone makes it whether you're a Gyani or
Yeah,
not.
but
Normally you
that's
go around in life not.
sure.
Yeah.
But what do you think needs to happen for that knowledge to be imbibed in you?
Just continual that whole series of Shravan, Nididhyasana.
Why? You've already got Shravana, Nididhyasana, and the thing. What else? What new is going to happen?
I don't know. Understanding and just imbibing is taking time.
That's why I'm saying the question is, what you have to really find out is, what is it that's the causing the, why is it that you're not a Gyani right now in your own mind? Why is it
I
you're
think
not a Gyani right now?
to become
What's the
a
obstacle?
change, to get that change over, I think you have to be very, very aware of the things you do, how you do, and how you think about the outcome and everything. That awareness is lacking in
Okay.
all our
So
actions.
let me ask you this question. Right now, are you Atma or are you the ego? Right now.
At any moment, I am the Atma.
Right. So when you say I'm the Atma, then you say to get that knowledge, I need to have awareness, or to get that knowledge, I need to have conviction.
So let me tell you. What I mean is that the fundamental way that you view yourself and others is so drastically different. When I still often, when I go around in life, I think, okay, I am this person, I am this body, I am this is the subject, and everything else is the object. The world outside is not me. This is me, and the world outside is not me. But to have that mindset change where no, both this person and the world outside is all me. It's all me. That fundamental imbibing
Shift.
of that shift, that is what I mean.
So I understand all that. I get what you're saying. My question to you is, if you know, either you know your Atma or you don't know your Atma. If you know that you're Atma, then why is it taking so long to get that shift?
The nature of the mind, I don't know why it's taking.
No. Okay, the nature of the mind. But you know your Atma. The mind can do whatever it wants. The mind can take its time to get the shift. The mind can take its time to get the learning. The mind can do, you can't control them. You're not the mind.
So when I am saying Atma doesn't have to learn anything, right? When I say I am going to take a while, I'm talking from the standpoint of the mind, not the standpoint of the Atma, because the Atma doesn't need Gyan. Atma doesn't need anything, right?
Yeah, so you're talking from the standpoint of the mind. I'm saying, what is your standpoint? I'm not talking, you talking from the standpoint of the mind, who's the you who's talking from the standpoint of the mind?
The Atma is
Atma.
talking from the standpoint.
So that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not as if some wonderful thing is going to happen. All of a sudden, your muscles of the mind are going to develop and you are going to start seeing the world differently. And you put your effort. Abhi tum yahan pe ho, you are putting in effort, diligently putting in effort. You're learning, you're doing Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, Shravanam, Namam, Nididhyasan. One day, your body will become worth it, your mind will become better, it will become worth it, and you will become Atma. That is not the way.
Yeah.
That is a lesson to be given to people who have no knowledge. You have to start somewhere. That's what you tell a person who has very little knowledge. But what I'm trying to tell you is, your job is not to follow a teaching and say, "Main Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam karungi." Your job is to contemplate right now. And this is the contemplation which is needed. Which is, if on the one hand you're saying, "I'm Atma, I know I'm Atma." And then on the other hand, you're saying, ye kya hai? This is postponing. This is the intervention of your ego, which is trying to say, abhi, I'm afraid. मुझे अभी डर है.
Actually, when I asked you that question, ki define Jnani, I had similar thoughts what Nidhi has been saying. इसमें ये जो इंटेलेक्चुअली कह लो या समझ तो आ गया है कि आई एम आत्मा, आई एम ब्राह्मण, वो दैट इज वेरी क्लियर, देयर इज नो डाउट अबाउट इट.
Okay.
But when you are day to day, all the time, when you're transacting in the world, when you're living your life, that knowledge somewhere goes in the background,
Fades
somewhere.
away. That fades away.
Yes, that it doesn't. It's not your all the time knowledge.
Yeah, but
that you are. जैसे वही है कि जैसे I don't have to think twice that I am mukta. It's always there.
see,
But this is not always there that I am.
how can it be always there? Your mind will have so many thoughts. This is also just a thought. I am Brahman is a thought.
Yeah.
Atma is a thought. You can't say my mind should always have this thought in the background and other thoughts will keep coming. Mind ka job is to have produced thoughts. A thought comes and then the thought goes. Then a new thought comes and a new thought goes. So from the mind, you're just kidding yourself. If all you need is superimposition of this mind, I'm Atma, this tape recorder should keep running all the time. That is not knowledge. That is like conditioning of the mind. That's like, I want to, it's like, क्या कहते हैं उसको, कि कोई ट्रेनिंग दी तो बच्चे को कहते रहते हैं ना, कोई बात नहीं, सब ठीक है, सब ठीक है, सब ठीक है, तो बच्चे को कहते रहो सब ठीक है, then बच्चा will do everything. But अगर the moment you start saying सब ठीक है, then the बच्चा will get all nervous. That is not the purpose of knowledge. The purpose of knowledge is not that you should have this tape recorder playing in the back of your mind. The purpose of knowledge is for you to know that you are Atma. That's all. Nothing is going to change. Your mind is not going to start behaving differently. You can, for the mind to start behaving differently, you have to start working on the mind. I think what I'm trying to say is, there are two ways of looking at things. One way of looking at things is to say, I am not yet ready, and I will still try to change the mind, not being ready, and maybe my mind will change and I will be ready. The other way is to say, I am Atma. There is no question that I am Atma. But my mind, right, has a habit. It is habituated to things. I just need to change those habits. And when those habits don't get changed, don't get frustrated, because it doesn't mean you're not Atma. It just means that those habits are not being changed. It takes a while. Put in a little awareness, when you start doing those things, just like Sanjay was saying last time when we were discussing, be aware of what your mind is doing. If you catch yourself getting upset, or catch yourself getting angry, or catch yourself getting sorrowful, try to investigate why and try to tell, how it doesn't make sense. Do all that to change. But all this while, don't say the message you're giving is to the mind is not that mind, I'm not ready, or you're not ready, that you're not a Jnani yet, you will be a Jnani. The message you have to give is you are a Jnani. Because actually you are. Honestly, you are Atma. There is no two ways about it. So you have to start giving yourself that message. You have to start believing it yourself. And that's just a minor small step, but it is the step which will take you forward. Otherwise you will be in this cycle all along कि आगे जाके मैं कुछ कर लूंगी, आगे जाके हम मर जाएंगे, देन हमारा नेक्स्ट जन्म आ जाएगा, देन अगेन हम आगे जाके करते रहेंगे. कुछ नहीं होगा. जो करना है कल करे सो आज कर. There is no there is nothing here. You know, in fact, actually there is another way of doing it. It's called the direct path. उसमें तो जो लोग ये जो काफी सारे लोग आजकल कहते हैं, वो कहते हैं ऑल दिस वेदास ने जो हमको सिखाया है, इट्स कमिंग इन आवर वे. ये कर्म योग श्रम योग इज कमिंग इन आवर वे, बिकॉज हम उसी के चक्कर में पड़े रहते हैं. हम मेडिटेट करेंगे, फिर हम कर्म योग करेंगे, फिर हम प्रिपेयर करेंगे, फिर हम मन को अपना बड़ा करेंगे, ये करेंगे वो करेंगे, उसी के चक्कर में पड़े रहते हैं. हम भूल जाते हैं जो हमको करना है. सो दे से लेट्स गेट दिस वेदांत आउटसाइड द वेदास and let's just talk about the essence of it. Of course, I'm not saying that they are right or one is right or the other is right. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this orientation change is not something that will happen in the future. It has to happen now, and there's no reason why it can't happen now. If it doesn't happen, you're not making the effort for whatever reason you're not. It's okay. You're still Brahman. But for your own happiness and for your own fulfillment in life, to lead a better life, more fulfilled life, do it. Stop thinking about yourself as a gyanis and future gyanis and karma yogis. That's all I'm saying.
नहीं, वो orientation change is a must to get the results. To become a jnani, to be on the path of being a jnani, that theoretical part is there, but the roots of the theoretical parts, they have not yet developed very, very strong.
संजय, ये सारे concepts,
Actually,
ये तूने, these are all concepts. ये कहते हैं ना,
हाँ, these are all.
Exactly, I will remind you of what Krishna Bhagavan told Arjun. Which is ashocyan and vashocistvam. And you speak like a buddhiman. So हम ये बातें करते रहते हैं ना, ये सब इसकी कोई, these are all, we are getting caught up in all these concepts. Roots not developed, ये वो ये. You know right now, you're Atma. If you don't know right now you're Atma, find out why you don't know. If you know you're Atma, that's what you are. You don't have to wait for roots to develop. Roots will develop when they develop or whatever that happens. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Because otherwise you will get caught in this thing, in this intellectual
नहीं, वही मैं कह रहा था, for the root system to develop and get that strong feeling inside, that if you be aware of all your activities and your thought process and what your mind is doing, then that development will come. That comes. That is my personal experience.
Yeah, no, I'm not denying your experience. I'm saying while you're developing, while your roots are being developed, what are you? What do you tell yourself that you are? Do you tell yourself, I'm not ready for the knowledge? Or do you tell yourself, I have knowledge?
नहीं, उस stage पे तो we have reached, I think we can say we have quite a bit of knowledge, and we have to consolidate that knowledge and develop the root system so that it really sticks inside us. And so that to situations we can act and react in that fashion, like a jnani.
Okay, so now let's transition then. So we were talking about the 4th chapter.
Yeah.
We were talking about Gyan Karam Sannyas.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were saying that a Gyan Karam Sannyasi is a person for whom this transition has happened, who has knowledge. So Gita was saying there are different ways in which you can look at karma. So a samsari looks at karma as a means to achieve samsaric results, as a means to get some happiness and joy in this world, to get some, pleasure in this world. Can also look at the karma as a means to get joy in the future world. कि मैं अच्छे कर्म करूंगा, शायद मुझे अगले जन्म में स्वर्ग मिलेगा. Right? That's what a jnani, as a samsari, looks at karma. We talked about last time, a karam yogi looks at karma as an offering. He says, मैं कर्म कर रहा हूं, it's an offering to God, to the divine. It's my job I offer. And जो कर्म का फल मिलेगा, वो it's a prasad from God. ठीक है? So that is how the karma yogi looks at karma. Now the question is, what is the relationship between a jnana karam sannyasi and karma? Right? Gita is all about karma, like I said. So that was the question, and I wanted to go through each one of you in 2 minutes now, 2 minutes each. What do you think is the relationship between karma and a jnana karam sannyasi? What does, like, for example, definitely the samsari thinks about himself as the doer. The karma yogi also thinks about himself as a doer, unfortunately, because he considers I'm doing it as an offering to God. So I'm the doer. I'm offering it to God. And I will experience too the results, but I will experience them with equanimity because it comes from God. Right? What does the Gyan Karm Sannyasi, how does the Gyan Karm Sannyasi differ? So Mukta, now after having said all this, do you want to say 2 minutes quickly? Some thoughts? And others can prepare in the meanwhile.
I think if you're aware that you are Atma, and then you are whatever karma you are doing, that would be like the Karam Yogi thing only. Ki, you have to transact in the world. It will be at the transactional level. And usse jo bhi whatever results of khushi, sorrow, suffering, whatever you are getting, then probably you will not be much affected by it because it's at the transactional level only and the body level. And ultimately you will think that happiness के बारे में तो कोई ज्यादा सोचता नहीं है, वो तो सब absorb हो ही जाता है.
Okay.
But when it comes to the tough times, at that time ये बात ध्यान में आ जाती है कि अगर एक ज्ञानी जो होगा उसके दिमाग में जरूर आएगा कि I mean ठीक है, it's okay, it's all I mean at the transactional level you are just Atma and this too shall pass. And I think that's how the Gyani will take the karma.
That's fine. I may say this a little bit more differently, but I will wait for that. But I know what you're saying. So let me hear what Sanjay has to say about Gyan Karam Sannyasi.
I think Gyan Karam Sannyasi is a step ahead of Karam Yogi. He's doing karma with Gyan. With Gyan means you give him anything, he will do. He will not take the credit. He will say, I am an instrument of God, I am doing. And he will not even look at the result. And whether there is a result, no result, it will not move him a bit. He is totally still and stable and zero.
Okay.
Yeah. He is not bothered about the result. He just has to do the karam. And that too, he will say, I am doing the karam because God is telling me to do it. This body is not mine. This is God's body. And God is using through my Atma. All the credit goes to God without even looking at the result. And he'll be in an always happy mind and very light-hearted doing everything.
Okay. Yeah.
There is no sorrow or there is no joy or anything, even if he gets the result. Whatever result he gets.
Okay.
That is my take.
Kiki, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think for a jnani, they know that the one who's doing it, this person who's doing the action, wherever action is happening, it's all on the same plane. That I am not the, then you're not associated. You don't say I am the one doing it. It's all of it is happening. There can still be sadness and happiness in the mind, but not, that also is like a passing thing. You can be objective about that as well. So everything, me, the act, everything is just, it's happening. It's all happening.
Yeah. I mean, I think all three of you are saying that's kind of what Gita is saying, which is that actually the Sanjay, just to on your lines, the Gyan Karam Sannyasi and Gyani are the same thing, just another name. Okay, it's the same thing. And Gita's main thing is who is the doer. So if you think you're the doer, right, then you're not a Gyani. If you think you're not the doer, then you're a Gyani. So I'll show you. I wanted to share something with you. We're going to go 15 minutes late, okay? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Now, where do I share it from? Share screen.
Bottom middle, don't you see it?
But I don't get the screen to share. Do you see this?
Yeah.
So there's a particular shlok which I really like, which I wanted to share with you. This one. I think we've talked about it before also when we were talking about chapter 4. It says karmani akarma yaha. Right? That means in karmani, in karam, the one yaha who sees karam, who sees a karam. So in action, the one who sees in action, pashyat means sees, karmani cha karam yaha. That and in inaction he sees karam, action. So the one who sees action in actionlessness and action in inaction is wise among human beings. Sa buddhimana manusheshu. That means he's wise amongst human beings. Sa yukta kritsna karma krit. So that person is a yogi who's done everything that has to be seen. So this is the key sort of, to me, the key line of or the key shlok of Gyan Karam Sannyas. Okay, it means there is no, whether you're doing an action or not is in your mind. Whether you're doing a karma or not is in your mind. It's not actually that someone is doing a karma and someone is not doing a karma. Because you have to see, because a different person, for doing the same thing, one person can say, I'm doing a karma. That means I'm the doer. And another person can say, I'm not the doer. So let me just shut this out of the way. Let me explain this again. So he's saying a wise person, a Gyan Karam Sannyasi, sees action in actionlessness and actionlessness in action. In other words, like, let's say I did something, I do something, whether I'm a Karam Yogi or whether I'm a Samsari, whatever, I do some work, good work. I can do anything with that work. I can say that work I'm doing to get a material benefit. I can say I'm doing that work to get Antakarna Shuddhi. I can say I'm doing that work just as offering to God. Whatever it is that I say, the point is I'm doing the work. That means it's an action for me. I see action there. A Gyani doesn't matter it's not whether the job is being done for for some material benefit or whether it's done for offering to God, whatever. For a Gyani, the Gyani knows that he is not the doer. So there is actionlessness. How can Atma do anything? Because Atma doesn't do anything. So if you identify yourself with the Atma, if the mind identifies itself with the Atma, if you know that you're the Atma, then there is no action. Similarly, in actionlessness, there is action. That, of course, because there is nothing called actionlessness. There is no, you can never be, you cannot imagine anything still. Actually, up to science we says also the same thing. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle says that there is no possibility of actionlessness. There is not even a vacuum. Because if you say there is a vacuum, that means you know something for certain. That there is something zero there. That is not possible. There will be some activity. So anyway, I mean, the point is, there's no question of any actionlessness. So then it goes on to say, Sa buddhimana manusheshu, within the manushas, that person is the buddhiman. And kritsna karma krit, that person has done whatever needed to be done. There is nothing more to be done. There is no need for there's no, you don't have to, I must do Shravana Manana Mudidhyashanam, I must do this, I must do that. None of those things exist. So this is the simple, beautiful way in which Gita describes a Jnani. It describes it from the perspective of, do you think of yourself as a doer or not? And when would you, and actually there is much more to it than that, and I don't know whether we have time to go into it today. Maybe we can cover it next time. The question really is it true that you are not the doer? Or we are just saying it because this is kind of it's in the Gita.
Actually, this is very confusing right now for me, at least. That although we have already discussed it, but suddenly right now this confusion has crept in.
Yeah.
Are we the doer or not the doer?
Yes.
Because if we are not the doer, then where is the karma cycle?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Who is the doer then? If we are the doer, then
yes, this is a big problem with Vedanta for those who don't deeply study Vedanta. Because Vedanta is the only philosophy which says this, that you are not the doer. The only philosophy. Sankhya also says that, but then Sankhya says you're not the doer, but you're the experiencer. एक ही बात है. Doing and experiencing is just two sides of the same coin. So we have to really, truly understand this. What does it mean that I'm a doer? So what does it really mean by saying I'm not the doer? Who is the doer? Who is doing? So let me leave the thought with you for today, and we will revisit it next time properly with a fresh mind, because I think we're all, at least the two of you, must be tired. The thought is that there is actions happen all the time. We assign action to ourselves. So one way in which Ramana Maharshi described it, he said there is something called an I thought, a me thought. That I thought springs up in us. Let's say every time I do something, after that I thought springs up, which can also be called the ego. And that I thought assigns that activity to itself. Okay, this is a really, really hard one to understand. So even if you have to say something is the doer, it's the ego which is the doer. This ego which springs up in us, that is the doer. And we'll go through examples next time, then it will become clearer how this happens. It's a mechanism that takes place. It's not just saying it, literally this is what happens. Because we are not aware of all the thoughts in our mind, right? All the time. But the mind has thoughts and action. So every time, mind का क्या काम है? अगर तुम कहते हो कि I'm a doer, तो mind कह रहा ना I'm the doer. Mind तो नहीं कर रहा काम. Mind तो is asking the body to do things. Correct? Mind can't lift up the hand and, the hand has to lift. Let's say I have to lift up this cup. The lifting is done by the hand, not by the mind. Hand is not the doer. ये तो हमको कोई confusion नहीं है. हम नहीं कहते hand is the doer. Although hand is actually the doer. जो कर रहा है. हम ये नहीं कहते hand is the doer. We say the mind is the doer. I am the doer. I am a concept in the mind. Right? Somehow we say that this me has given a command to the hand to lift this cup, and that is how the cup got lifted. Correct? At best, we can say that command which came from the mind is the doer. Who gave the command? The mind. What in the mind gave the command? Something called the ego. That ego is the doer. So one simple way of thinking about it is to say, it's the ego which is the doer, not me, because I'm the Atma. The doer will die. The doer went to sleep. The doer was born. I am Atma. I'm not going to die because I suddenly can't lift the cup. The doer is gone. I'm not gone. So this is one simple way of thinking about it. But I don't think this is enough. I think we should think about the mechanism of how this happens. How does the I thought, the ego, assign itself to the task which has been done, and therefore we say we are the doers.
Isn't mind the subtle body?
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
It's part of the body.
yes.
Yeah.
Then isn't that subtle body which is basically the bank of the karma,
Yes.
which passes
It
from
actually,
one life
actually,
to
the
other?
causal body is the bank of the karma, the karana sharira.
Okay.
But it's okay. Let's just call it subtle body for now. We call it one unit.
So that means the doer of actions is subtle body or the mind.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Are you the mind?
No.
Yeah. So you're not the doer. So that's what I'm saying. That's a simple way of thinking about it. What you're saying is a very straightforward, simple way of thinking about it, that the doer of the body is the subtle body, and why it does it is because it gets its instructions from the causal body. The causal body holds the karmas. Correct? All the samskaras, which is nothing but the karmas. Samskara and karma is the same thing. जो कर्म होते हैं उसका जो effect होता है वो संस्कार कहते हैं. So the karam is the manifested samskar, and samskar is the unmanifested karam. ठीक है? कर्म से ही आता है ना संस्कार. So samskar is held in the causal body. So you can say
Possible.
the causal body or the क्या कहते हैं इसको, karana sharir. So the karana sharir or the causal body that holds the instructions for karmic, doing the karma. It gives the instructions to the mind. The mind gives the instructions to the body. That's why you have to be born, because to do the karma you need a physical body also. So that's why you are born again. So the subtle body and the Karan Sharir are continuing. They are not dying or not dying. वो चल रहा है. So जब तक तुम्हारे अंदर basically जब तक तुम समझते हो कि मैं ज्ञानी नहीं हूं, तब तक सूक्ष्म शरीर है, वो तो नहीं मरता, सिर्फ the physical body dies. तब तक कारण शरीर है, वो भी नहीं मरता. वो दोनों हैं, and these are the ones who think they are the doers. So the doership is also remaining. So doership will continue till you're continuing as an individual. The moment you say I'm a jnani, it's not that the moment you become a jnani, no. The moment you say I'm a jnani, the moment you have the courage to say I'm a jnani, let me put it this way to challenge you, you know that you are not the Karana Sharir. You know you are not the subtle body. You know you are not the doer. This subtle body is part of the universe. All this is happening in the universe. Even the subtle body is not really the doer. Subtle body कहाँ से आई? Universe से आई. Subtle body के skills और capabilities कहाँ से आई? Universe से आए. Subtle body सोच क्या रहा है? Thoughts क्या हैं? Thoughts, what are they made of? They are made of the universe. They are made out of what's called Hiranyagarbha, which is the collection of all the thoughts, of all subtle things. There's nothing which really, really belongs to you as an individual. You is just a thought, an ego thought in the subtle body. It just thinks, oh, this part belongs to me, this is not mine. अपनी arbitrary assignation करी हुई है. अभी कोई तुमसे पूछे, संजय तू इतना अच्छा डॉक्टर है, क्यों है? Because you have education. तूने तो नहीं करी education. You were born into these educations. You had determination, so you made something out of it. You had opportunity, you did something out of it. All of those things are qualities which were given to you, right? But your ego assumed certain things. Some things which were given to you, you assumed are yours, a result of your action. right? So then you're a doer. A jnani will know that all this is part of the universe. I don't have to say that I am the doer. It doesn't help me in any way. I don't need that ego push. If anything, it's a cause for bondage, not a cause for freedom. A jnani enjoys a lot more when he or she doesn't have to assign his ego to the activity. We go out and look at so many nice things, हम जाते हैं स्विट्जरलैंड जा रहे हैं या कहीं जा रहे हैं घूम रहे हैं देख रहे हैं. We don't assign all those things to ourselves, but we enjoy them a lot without having to assign them to ourselves. So we'll talk about this again next time, right? But Mukta, you are absolutely right. You completely caught on to it. At a simple level, you can absolutely think about it like this: that it's the subtle body and the causal body which are causing actions to happen and causing this ownership to happen. And a jnani knows that he or she is not the subtle body or the causal body. That's why the jnani knows he's not the doer.
But actually, the one we are calling the jnani, the people who are having this conversation, the one you are calling the jnani, it minds talking to each other, right?
Yeah.
So
It's the mind talking to each other. So
right.
like
jnani is the mind, right?
So
when
that
once
is the
mind
contemplation. That's the contemplation. You got to kind of sit with it and think this, whatever is, realize this for yourself. After a point, it's all words, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't really, you'll come to the limit of the words. So this is the problem. That's why words can only get you started. At the end of the day, it's all about how you orient yourself and how you approach the world and all of that stuff. Okay, right?
Okay.
Fun.
Sanjay must be tired today. I am not. Sanjay is tired.
I am
Coming
tired
from
today.
traffic
Yeah,
jam.
you had dinner? You haven't had dinner?
No, I had dinner.
Acha.
Class start karke I had dinner.
Okay, acha, that's why you were on. You had switched on the
Yeah.
camera. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just